Hello and welcome to the Free Cheese episode 373. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Matt Sellner.
Hello.
Mark Augustiniak.
What's up?
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. We've got a show today. That's right, Matt. They're going to fix the fans to work even more better week over week. Mark, Konami might be doing some stuff, but maybe not, but maybe sort of. More on all of that later. First, welcome back, Mark.
Thanks. It's good to be here. It's like I pretty sure my mic was muted the entire time, but I just figured that out. So
you got to hit the red button on the front of it, and if it's blinking, it's not going to work.
Right.
I feel like what we needed right there is like to cut the intro music and have like Conan's jazz band. Does Conan have a jazz band? Who's got a jazz band?
Yeah, he had Max
Eric Andre.
He had Max Weinberg.
Right. He's not still around, is he?
Conan or Max?
Max.
I think he left to like tour with like
Go be a jazz boy?
with like Bruce Springsteen or something.
That checks out. I don't approve, but it checks out.
I mean, this was like 10 years ago. I don't know.
Putting that out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I
There
mean,
it is.
Joe, you brought in the Konami thing. I think you've been saying that in the intro since the last time Mark's been around. So I'm just going to throw it out there. Some things haven't changed.
Yeah. No, not at all. We're still waiting. Cyberpunk is still not out.
It's coming.
Yeah, okay.
It's coming.
You say so.
Keanu Reeves said so in the commercial.
I don't believe him, and neither should you.
Has a game ever gone gold and then took it back?
Ooh, that's a great question that I don't know the answer to. Yes. NBA Live something or other. Remember that one?
What?
There was that one that actually hit store shelves, and then they pulled it back. Like, right before release.
What was it called?
It was NBA Live. I forget which one it was.
Oh, you said NBA Live. I didn't hear what you said. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
I feel like they do it every year with that game.
Usually they stop it before it gets printed on a disc, but this...
I know. I think
I don't know.
I'm starting to remember maybe some games where like they had to recall something either because of like box art or something was in the game they couldn't patch or something. I don't know.
I remember Guitar Hero 3 on Wii. I had to send that back, or the guitar. One of the pieces that I had to send back. I'm pretty sure it was a game disc. I forgot what it was, but yeah, it was weird.
I can't... Yeah,
Well, what do you...
So there's a chance of...
I'm trying to...
sorry, I was just saying that...
There's one that... No, sorry. There's one that actually made it on the store shelves. People bought it, and then were told, like, if you bought this, you have to... Or maybe they didn't... I don't think it was, like, meant to be sold. I think it was, like... It was going to come out on a Tuesday, and then, like, somebody broke street date once they heard EA was asking for them all back. And, yeah. And those copies are still out there somewhere. And it's a bad game. Other than that...
All NBA Live. You think they'll come out next year?
Did they come out this year?
Nope. I was thinking, next gen, new gen.
Because we don't have... spoiler alert for the podcast, we're not going to have any discussion about NHL because Matt didn't get it, and rightfully so. I think this is probably the only time that this makes sense to talk about. But yeah, I think EA, from what I understand of, especially the games that came out this year, I think EA really, more than ever, needs kind of a check in the licensing department for those things, right? Like that FIFA Switch port that was literally the same from last year. The one that I think we talked about it on air, but the one where IGN copied and pasted its review from last year. Because that was exactly what they, It's all in that game.
And then in the new review, they copy and pasted last year's review, and in the last year's review, there was a snippet where they copy and pasted it from the year before.
Yeah, and I mean, but that's.
But that's because IGN is just how EA cared about his ports.
Yeah, and I think the port is one thing to Switch, but I think also even the mainline games just are not what they could or should be. And we've talked, I think, endlessly about that, what that dev cycle must be like and whatever, but I don't know. Like, for all of the money that FIFA brings in, you can't reallocate that to give another team an opportunity to build up a good basketball game. I don't know. But I don't think they care, because the games still sell what they sell, and I think that people who complain about it will still buy it, and then they'll also, a fraction of those are still going to be the ones buying the card packs. So EA's getting the money either way. Until the money stops, then they're not going to have to make a change. So if you're listening to this, don't buy things that you don't want to buy.
Or play all the games through Game Pass Ultimate. There you go.
Yeah, but you can't do that and then also give them money for card packs.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
You know
Come January when I finally play NHL.
Yeah. Don't do that. Just don't even.
What?
I guess. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I know. Game Pass Ultimate. All right. I got you. Anyway, enough about EA Sports. It is time for the first round in our semifinals of an ongoing segment. Listeners at home, if you're just joining us because you heard Return of the Mac playing in the background, this is our ongoing segment where we've put together gaming's greatest villains to find out who would win in a fight between the two. This week, our first round in the semifinals, Matt, goes to Sephiroth and Albert Wesker. And I would like to know, Matt, and now Mark, if you want to help Matt along the way, who would win in a fight between Sephiroth and Albert Wesker? Of course, listeners, Sephiroth, the main villain in Final Fantasy VII, and Albert Wesker, ongoing, recurring nightmare villain man of the Resident Evil series, soon to have some twins in an upcoming Netflix series.
I think it's telling when you say both those names, and I think of Sephiroth, and I think of, wow, that really good PlayStation 1 game. He's a great villain. Oh, and then that really good remake that came out earlier this year, and how they changed his arc a little bit, but was still a great villain. And then I think of Albert Wesker, and Mark, I don't know if you do this, but I just picture Chris Redfield punching boulders.
Yeah.
Is that where Albert Wesker is in the franchise at this point?
Yeah, also, I immediately went to, a numbers game, right? Wesker knows how to build an army. He has a virus, he can make, or get people to make creatures for him, probably nonstop. Sephiroth is just Sephiroth.
Yeah, but slight spoilers. Maybe Sephiroth is himself not an army. You got to think about that part too.
He did have clones and Advent Children, but only three of them.
Those clones kind of are a part of Final Fantasy VII as a whole too.
Yeah.
But so I think the army thing, you have to throw that out of the equation. The thing with Sephiroth is they're both killable in their games, right?
But only one came back.
Did he though? The last I know, he's still in some lava.
I mean, I think they're keeping it ambiguous. I feel like for good reason. There's still teases of Wesker in 7. Chris has his gun.
All right, so let's go to some of the skill set here, right? So, Wesker is just the virus, right? Is whatever he can morph into. He can morph into something huge and gigantic, but he doesn't have the element of any range that Sephiroth has due to any kind of magic, and the power of Genova. around him. And that's like another part of it, right? Like he uses those Genova cells all throughout Final Fantasy VII for boss fights. Why couldn't he use some of that here to also further build his army besides the clone parts if you want to go for the army route? So actually, if you bring up the army argument, I think it goes towards Sephiroth there. The range melee thing, Wesker has a gun. I don't think that's going to do much against Sephiroth. I think it's one of those, like, you know, he's got the force, he can deflect bullets, do all that kind of stuff. I think the edge goes to Sephiroth there. Death.
Well, I mean, Wesker fights up close a lot, too.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, I think Sephiroth can equally match that up close.
Yeah, I guess. I guess it depends on, like, the kind of fight, like, we have set up, too, right? Like, if this is just, I guess, I'm just picturing just, like, a generic arena, and they're just both in there.
I've been thinking COVID-style stadiums. No one in them, empty.
Right.
And 1v1s.
Final
That's
Destination.
why GLaDOS was eliminated by the New York Yankees in round 1.
I probably shouldn't explain the image in my head then, because I always imagined my memory of the video game The Bouncer, but like the area outside of that bar. And they all come spilling out of, as we announce who would win or ask who would win in a fight, the two candidates just fall out of the door already fighting and then brawl in the middle of that parking lot. And I'm just in the background skating or something, you know what I mean? It's kind of where I'm at.
I mean, if I wanted to be really stupid about this, Sephiroth would wait his turn to attack and Wesker wouldn't.
Take out the remake. You gotta rewrite some things.
Yeah. I haven't played it.
And then the other thing, Wesker would probably have some kind of glowy eyes or something glowing all over him for easy stat points for Sephiroth as well. I think although the whatever virus that I lose track of the letters at this point of whatever type of virus Wesker has, I don't think that's enough of like a spiritual or magical element that that Sephiroth brings to the table with just the way that Final Fantasy plays in general, but also like he's just clouded in more mystique and has more abilities because of that mystique. And I think those added abilities with the magic, I would go with Sephiroth. Mark, now that you're back, I would love your input, but that's where I am leaning towards.
I could, yeah, because it's kind of like a, I don't know how to put it, like a mythical fantasy setting versus science at this point is kind of how I'm viewing it. And like,
yeah, and that's what makes this a great little tournament, because you have these weird matchups and you have to play off that.
I'm also going to interject here, being literally in our little video stack here, the one in between you two. That what I'm hearing is both of your aligned fandoms, because one of you is aligned more towards Final Fantasy and the other more towards Resident Evil.
No, I mean,
both kind of picking.
I mean, I like Final Fantasy. I think Sephiroth is a great villain. I just, yeah. I guess he just doesn't stand. He doesn't resonate with me as much as Wesker.
I'm just thinking, like
what if Wesker came up and just somehow injected Sephiroth with a new virus that he made, and there's like no cure for it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think the range element to it is where Sephiroth is going to thrive, right? Like he can just sit back and throw like Firagas and Blizzagas and.
I mean, Wesker dodged bullets on a plane at like point blank. Because if you do that QTE in Resident Evil 5, if you miss it, he snaps your neck, but he just teleports everywhere.
Yeah, but Sephiroth's done that too in certain cutscenes. Yeah. So I think that's another mute point. But at the end of the day, like Chris still shot him, or whoever is fighting him, you can still shoot him at some point, just like you can still hit Sephiroth. So I think, I just think I think the main thing for me is the ranged combat. Albert Wesker has like zero of it. He's great up close, and can do whatever. but he has almost zero range, where Sephiroth has a ranged ability. And a lot of it with all the elements as well.
True.
And they both hear themselves as well.
If only he had those.
Do we
cool
have
shades.
our first coin toss?
No, I mean, I think it would be Sephiroth in the end if it came to like an endurance thing, basically.
I just think the range thing is like the only. That's like the main caveat here. If like the magic part of it wasn't a thing, it would be a lot closer. And like I might even lean more towards Wesker at some points, but the I think it's the range part of it. Because Sephiroth is the more complete package when it comes to that.
Like I keep thinking about Sephiroth's I guess spoiler final form.
Yeah.
And I'm just seeing Wesker having trouble with that. But if it was just basic Sephiroth with a sword, I think Wesker would just break that sword and it would just be maybe a DBZ fight going on. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's what I think. At that point, that's where the ranged part of it wasn't something to account for. I think that's where we go a little bit more into what that fight might actually look like. But I think the range element for me is why I would pick Sephiroth to win this battle.
Yeah, and also
locking it in.
Yeah, if the coin toss was to theme songs, Sephiroth wins easy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. See, There it is. There's a key element, and this is why we need to mark this whole time. There's a key element you're not considering, which is the entrance music. I think we might have to go back through every single one of these fights and think about that. Because I think Dr. Robotnik would have lasted more than a round.
Who'd he lose to?
Ooh, great question. Hold on. Oh, wait. Okay. Sorry. Dr. Robotnik beat out Bowser, but then lost to Albert Wesker.
Okay. That's fair.
But hey, if we had the theme music, that would have changed everything.
He has so
Listeners, stay tuned for more who would win in a fight. Next week, we'll have our final round and the semi-final round, and then we'll have our final round of the finals in the final round. But now it's time to talk about 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim. Mark, you've been playing 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim as well, correct? Or you bought it.
I literally did the tutorial and then didn't go back. And not because I'm not interested or didn't like it. I'm still interested. I still want to play it. It's just I've been all horror mode, so it just hasn't been at the top of my list right now.
No, I get it. This took a backseat while I tried to finish up Xenoblade, and then got into other stuff. So I'm just jumping back into it after a couple of weeks. But so I'm not going to spoil anything because the story is the key thing here, right? I think this game is driven by that. But now I'm over 50% through the Remembrance portion of the game, which is the main kind of story visual novel style thing. And I'm realizing just how unique the story is. It starts off very much with this simple plot of there's invading kaiju. These kids have to get into Sentinels and they have to fight the kaiju. And now it is this elevated, integrated, interconnected story between all 13 protagonists, and you see how they all fit and how every character that you see in some way is related. I don't want to say too much here, but and it's starting to get to the point where at first, as you're going through and you're playing through each of these protagonists, I found that it was incredibly disorienting. You're getting fragments of each character's backstory, and it's just throwing you in. Like I said a few weeks back, you start in 1985, then you're in 1945, then you're in 2064. It's all over the place time-wise. And story-wise, too, there's all this weird stuff happening. And then slowly, characters are being transplanted from one timeline to another. And as it's doing all of that, you're trying to figure out how everything pieces together, why these characters are connected. And more and more there are more threads that are like tying them all together, and that's the part where I'm getting to now. That's like I'm thinking more intimately about how this person is affecting this person or whatever, and I think that it becomes this kind of mystery that you're a part of solving rather than just watching play out. Like I'm finding myself there's something called mystery files that you unlock as you go through the story. So one of them, for example, is like one of the characters finds a key, and it looks like a little like a Scion logo or something. And you have to figure out what is that key for. So I'm like figuring that out in one timeline, and then a different character also has mention of the key, and like there's things of that like I'm trying to piece together as they are too. And I'm going through the mystery files and reading about the key, and I'm reading about somebody's notebook and reading each journal entry, and like it's like an active participation thing that doesn't have to be. I'm doing that on my own. The story does start to make itself more known as you play through it, but it's like I'm trying to figure out like how come that lady just changed into a little girl and then back into a teenage girl right in front of my eyes in the middle of this train and nobody saw it? How come that girl's glasses were in the bathroom that was destroyed, but she's standing in front of me also wearing her glasses? Like there's all these weird little things that start happening that you want to figure out what's happening in the story. And I don't want to say too much because I think some of the parts I'm getting to now are the cooler parts of the story, but there's a lot more that makes it so much more relatable to today's world. Although we don't have giant kaiju invading the city, we don't have sentinels that we're time traveling through. There's a very real story taking place about, I think, the like corruption of power and like monopolization that a company can have. I'll kind of leave it at that. But I mean, we see that today with so many companies. We see it in video games all the time, but we see it in so many different just corporations that are just like, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy this, and we're going to merge with this, and we're going to make this. And there's a lot of stuff there that's playing out that's really neat. I think my big takeaway from 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim this week is that I want to make yakisoba pan, which I have a quote here I'd like to read from one of the characters. He took a bite of the yakisoba pan and said, "This is the taste that saved me. I have to thank my yakisoba pan angel." He was transplanted to a different time, and when he woke up, he sat there for 3 days trying to figure out what the heck was going on and hadn't eaten. And then a girl walked by and said, "Here, you look hungry," and gave him this. And what it is, gents, is it's yakisoba noodles inside of a sandwich. And all of the kids in this game are like, they like push each other and almost knock each other down in the cafeteria to get the yakisoba pan. It looks fantastic. It kind of reminds me of the Brood Witch from that episode of Aqua Teen. You know, the one that had the sun-dried tomatoes that Master Shake didn't eat because he didn't like tomatoes, but, you know, by eating the sandwich, you're cursed or something. It looks a little bit like that, like just like a really good sandwich, but it's made with like super sweet bread and noodles on it. And it's all I've been thinking about, and I kind of want to make it, but I don't know how to make it. I got to look up some stuff. That's the takeaway of that for the week. No, and honestly, my big thing I kind of landed on this week is this game feels like a PS2 game, but I feel so frequently that when people talk about, oh, it's like a PS2 game, I feel like it's used in a derogatory sense, and I don't mean it like that. I really like, for me, 13 Sentinels exemplifies that creative and unconventional choice making that developers were able to do during the PS2 generation. Because PS2 was just selling so well that almost anything would sell on that platform. I'm sure there's exceptions to that rule, and I'm not trying to make a blanket statement, but I think that in that era, developers, specifically Japanese developers, were able to make some weird choices and make some strange games that just... I feel like even great games that I play now often fall into similar, you know what I mean? Like there's a mechanic or there's a something, and it's like, got it. Okay. They're pulling from this, and you can kind of like extrapolate the DNA of everything here. And this, like, there's definite pieces of this that I can, you know, point back to other things, but a lot of it is me pointing back to other Vanillaware developed games. So there's that DNA that's very real here, but also this just feels like wholly original in so many ways. Like at its core, yeah, it's a visual novel mixed with a tower defense game, but it's just weird, and I mean that in like the best use of the word. Like I don't mean weird in a bad, like it's just a weird thing, and I think that today indie developers can do stuff like that. Like we've seen a lot of that where like an indie developer will make a weird game, but it's usually often left as, I think we have like so many weird pockets of that between like itch and Steam releases and things where it's like you have an indie dev who does a really cool thing, but it's often too experimental. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't get that final round of polish, or even that, like it never gets the budget behind it to lift it out of a certain realm. Yeah. And that sounds really dismissive, and I don't mean to be, but I think there's something about this game that is like a PS2 game where it is using the best of its resources and making this beautiful game that's super polished and super whatever, but also it's weird. And I really appreciate how weird it is. Do you guys have any, can you think of another example, a positive example of saying this feels like a PS2 game outside of this? Because now I'm like, I want to chase down more modern PS2 games.
Well, if Mark doesn't have anything, I was gonna say maybe not like a PS. I don't know one specifically for PS2 that I can think of that's not in a derogatory way. I wish Madden played like the PS2 games, but it doesn't. So like I can't say that for real. Yeah, and like there's more things I wish for like PS2 games that are being made today, like wrestling and all that other stuff that's really bad now. But I mean, unless Mark, do you have something before I say my answer for the perfect segue?
I guess like in terms of like Aegis Rim levels, I'm not too certain, and especially for like something new to look for. I was just thinking of like games that might have a similar vibe, and I guess more so from like not exactly triple A, but kind of up there. Like I was just thinking in terms of like originality, I guess, and honestly, like Rocket League was one of the first games that came to mind. I mean, I could see that game being on a PS2, and like not seeing much else like that out there. Same goes for Splatoon. I think that's just like a interesting way to have a shooter and have platforming involved and whatever, like just going through the ink and whatever. I think that's cool.
Those are both really good examples. Yeah, because I think it's the idea of like, how do we make a crazy idea real? I think like it's, again, unconventional. I think that's the key here is like, it's not what, you're not going to get up on a whatever, in a boardroom and sell this to any, right? I mean, they did, right? Because those games are out, but like, well, I don't know. I mean, like Splatoon seems like it was the product of like, years of testing different mechanics, and Rocket League obviously was a passion project, right? Like I think both of those are, I think those are really good examples of that.
My final answer though, it comes at the price of getting both good and bad PS2 description. Deadly Premonition 2.
Yeah, and that's I at some point I'm gonna play through both of those on Switch.
Where like
I just keep buying other things before buying those, but
we're like describing it like a bad PS2 game is the reason why it's like a good PS2 game, and it's just and you don't know until you're like playing it to like fully understand that concept, I guess. Like it works.
I think that's a key differentiator, though. It's like that uncompromised vision, right? Like someone gets to make the thing they want to make rather than having to. Like I think the last time I felt like this about a modern game was probably Nier Automata.
Yeah,
because it's just that was a PS2 game to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, in the best. Yeah. Matt, you have another example of something maybe feels like a PS2 game?
I was going to say, maybe not like a PS2 game, but I've been playing something that feels like a really good, polished PS1 game. Crash Bandicoot 4, it's about time. Yeah, yeah. Seriously though, like kind of relating Crash back to that question, just like in kind of talking about, I've been playing more of Crash Bandicoot this week, but like it does not shy away from the roots of the first 3 games at all. Like it totally has dived in mechanically, like even like the things from like you go and like straight, then you shift to the side, and just the way it platforms, like it has that right amount of stiffness that you only got, I feel like, back then. Now, like in the PS2 thing, you kind of get that negative connotation with like, it feels stiff, but like this is a good stiff because it's like the old Crash stiff, and it's part of the mechanics, and it's part of how it plays and why it's good and challenging and hard. Guys, this game is hard. Like, just getting through the levels now, I'm losing like more than enough lives. But the lives are still like just the way like they have extra lives throughout the levels. The amount, when you get 100 fruit, a Wamba fruit, you get an extra life. So like there's a good like trade off there on the amount of lives you're getting in and probably losing throughout. And I will say it again, like same thing as last week, like the levels are getting harder as the game goes on because more mechanics are getting introduced, and I'll talk about them in a second. But like the challenge to get through the level is there, and it's a good challenge. But the hardest of challenges is going to be trying to get every single crate, like getting that crate that's all the way over there that's going to take 5 precision jumps on these crates, bouncing up and down, dodging the nitros just to get one crate to then come all the way back into the main part of the level. Like that is where the challenge of this comes from, and I don't know if I'll ever like have the patience to go through and get this platinum. I never thought I would maybe do it, but like playing through these levels and seeing what is expected is a tough ask. And I think this game's shaping up to be pretty short as far as like the main like go through each level in the worlds. Maybe I don't know my clocked time, but I gotta say I gotta be like 4 to 5 hours in total. But like when you see the loading screens, it has like the interdimensional map like loading splash page, and there's only like really like 8 or 9 shards that you see, and I'm assuming it's like a little glimpse of all the worlds. Each world has about 3 to 4 levels, and then you're kind of on to the next thing. It's very much like Warped had like each section of Warped had like 5 sections, and you kind of go back and you go to the next part. So I think the main part of the game is going to be pretty short, but all the extra stuff is going to pad out the game in a good way for those that are a completionist looking for a challenge and wanting to revisit some levels in a new way. So I have unlocked, just full disclosure, I have unlocked the inverted stuff. I have not gone back to it quite yet. I just want to go through the game because that's like a replay this level kind of thing, not necessarily like something you want to go back to right away. With the inverted stuff, getting the extra costumes that I talked about last week is actually a lot easier, it seems. So it requires 6 gems that you find or that you earn throughout the level. 1's hidden, 3 are connected to the fruit, 1 is the crates, and 1 is about like not dying so many times. You need all 6 of them to get the costume, but with inverted, they add their own 6 gems, so you just need some kind of combination of 6 to get the costume between both levels, because each level in the world map has an inverted level. So getting those alternate costumes for a completionist, they want to do some of that stuff. It's going to be pretty easy. You're just going to have to replay it probably through the other thing, because I always get at least like 2 gems, 3 gems per run, so they're not terribly hard to get, at least some of them. So the costumes are easily obtainable. But the main reason I want to revisit it because I have gotten to some other characters. I think I am on the cusp of playing as Neo Cortex. I'm in the world where I see like his facility around, so I have a feeling he's going to come up in the next level or two for me. I ran out of time to play it, or to keep playing to get to him, but I have played as Dingodile and Tawna, and it seems like more so with Tawna, like she plays a lot like Crash or Coco, but she has this hook shot thing, so her levels are more traditional, except for the fact that like you might do like a jump and then have to like hook shot this area to like complete the jumping section or something like that. She also has like a wall jump mechanic as well, so I've been seeing some of that pop up. But that's not too far removed because Crash has like a wall running mechanic on some walls. So, like I said, she plays very similar to that. But Dingodile was a unique enough experience where I'm kind of excited to go back to the levels that he's going to be a part of. He is like he's not heavy, or sorry, he's not very heavy, but he's like a little bit slower, like noticeably slower. His jump, he has a vacuum, and he's pretty much like Luigi at this point, where he's vacuuming up stuff, he's shooting it at things. So like what he does, like you can do this hover thing, so you jump and you hold, jump, and he like uses the vacuum to hover for a bit, and then right at the very end, there's like this tiny little double jump to get over that little extra oomph to get up on a ledge or over some barricades or something like that. But then like as far as like the enemies and stuff, like he uses a vacuum. He can suck up the TNT crates, shoot them at people. There's the one level I played as him, there's like crates that are usually far away, so you have to strategically like find the TNT in that area that you hopefully didn't explode earlier to suck it up and then throw it like at the far away part of the stage to get all the crates over there. And then he can like it seems like in his levels there's different like walls that are destructible, whether it's part of the main map or the main route to go or not, but you use TNT to blow those up as well. And then some of his segments with the TNT, like they have like these infinite respawning barrels of TNT. They're not like your traditional crate, so you can just use those to get through the level. So there's like a checks and balances there to make sure you don't accidentally like not prevent yourself from going further. So yeah, so far like Tawna was fine, but Dingodile, like that made me like I'm excited to see what they do with Neo Cortex. I will say the one thing they do with the side character levels, I don't necessarily like. So they're not the regular world map is pretty much all Crash and Coco levels, or they're interchangeable. But you'll see these little side parts. You'll see like the world map branch off for these side quests. And what happens? And when you play as Crash and Coco, like sometimes these weird events just come out of nowhere, and like Crash gets a little question mark over his head, like, huh? What happened? And then you just kind of like, oh, all right, well, this worked out for me, and you just kind of keep on going through the level. Well, off that level, wherever that happens at, there will be a side quest, like a side level where you play as Tawna or Dingodile, or I guess Neo Cortex as soon as I unlock him, and then you like go through your own little level. You get to like this cutscene of what happened to cause the thing to happen in Crash's and Coco's level. And I thought it would end there, but no, the game makes you play as Crash and Coco from that point and finish the level. And I don't like the fact that like I have to finish the level. I would have rather just either ended the level there or like have like a little escape sequence or something to like polish off the level as the character I went in as initially. The Crash added in the Crash thing feels weird, and then like their levels for the gems connects to what you do in Crash and Coco. So like I just it's weird to have to replay that segment, especially for 100% completion like twice essentially, if you're trying to get all the stuff. So that's like the one little negative, but no, all the new mechanics. So as you're finding the interdimensional mask, I talked about, I think it was Looney Lonnie last time. You're kind of going through the interdimensional map, trying to find the rest of them to combine forces, take down Cortex, all of them, the Nefarious. But like they each have a little thing. So I talked about the like the switching, like the ultimate dimension platforms where you pull the trigger and then it switches like what's in your dimension, what's not, that kind of stuff. I got another mask where like I have like a turbo spin that is like infinite, and like I can get like higher jumps off of it, but it's hard to control. And then like, so you might like land on a small little platform, like you need the long jump, land on a small little platform, but then pull off the trigger so that way you can like make sure you stay on the platform and not accidentally just keep your momentum going from going off. And of course, if you spin in TNT, you die. So like you have to be strategic about how that works. And it's just these little small segments of some levels. It's not the entire thing. And then, like, I haven't seen them combined yet. I don't think they'll do that. But no, like, as you're going through a level, you just kind of see, like, the mask just kind of chilling there. You pick it up. Like, you have to pick it up. The game, like, forces you. Like, it's like a barrier almost. And then you acquire it, and you go through this little section. And then at one point, the mask will just kind of, like, leave you as you kind of progress on. So a lot of new mechanics that I don't remember, at least, if they were in another Crash game. Like the wall running, the mask stuff, and then, of course, the new playable characters. So, it's a lot of fun. I'm glad, like, if it is as short as it is, I'm glad it is, because there is a lot here to go back to collect. Like, you got all the tapes, you got the inverted levels. And so, like, if this game was long, it'd be a lot to do to complete it for the completionists out there. And, like, so far, it hasn't outstayed its welcome as they keep introducing new mechanics with the new mask and stuff. But I'm, like, waiting for it to kind of start to get stale once all the mask and mechanics have been introduced. But yeah, I think that's about all I have to add for Crash. Hopefully,
do you think that adding, like, I mean, it sounds like yes, but just like adding the new characters, does that keep this fresh? Like, if this had been a game of just Crash the Bandicoot, would this still be as interesting as it is, or do you feel like it definitely needs those new characters at this point?
It doesn't need a new characters. They're definitely nice to have, but, like, just the regular, like, even just with the mask and just the regular new mechanics that Crash and Coco have, like, I feel like that would have been a fresh enough game. But I do get excited when I see, like, I got a new side thing for Tana, or I haven't gone back to any of the Dingo Dial levels yet, besides the one that they forced me into in the world map. So, like, I think this all, it not needed, but good that they're here. But yeah, that Crash is great. This is kind of like the perfect thing to follow the success of Insane Trilogy, to keep that hype train going. And I'm not thinking sequel yet, because I haven't completed it, but, like, you know, if they were, I have a bad feeling they played their hand with, like, all the secret mechanics they could have put into a Crash game. I'm concerned for what a sequel to this might look like. Well,
I imagine that, like, this is the one, right? Like, they're finally given the opportunity, because I'm sure a lot of people within that studio were asking to do the Insane Trilogy for a while. They get to do it, and then, okay, well, we also have some ideas to do some new stuff, so here's what we would do. I bet this was a let's go all out, but I also assume that there's probably some stuff they couldn't pull off here. Maybe there's new characters, maybe there's different things. So I assume if it sells well enough.
Well, this is the thing. Remember, it's Activision we're talking about. So with success, they probably smell a sequel and some kind of, maybe not annualization, but, like a 2-year thing. Yeah. I just don't want that to happen to Crash. Like, it's so, like, the Insane Trilogy was, like, what Crash fans asked for, and they got it. And it was, like, almost, like, perfect. It wasn't quite perfect. It was almost perfect, though. And then you got this sequel, which is, like, equally as fun to play through as new Crash Bandicoot levels that we haven't seen in the traditional style, that we haven't even seen in years, and with new mechanics and new playable characters. And this is great as well. I'm having a great time with it. Like, I just don't want Activision to do what they did before with the Crash series, where they just kind of, like, spun it out of control.
Yeah, as someone who has played through Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 this year a lot, I agree with what you were saying. Well, Matt and Mark, we this week saw translation of an interview with 4gamer.net, where Yasuhiro Otori, the VP of Mechanical Design at SIE's Hardware Design Division, I believe this is the same guy we saw in the video of the PS5 teardown the other week, said in an interview that Sony will optimize the fan of the PlayStation 5 based on data in the accelerated processing unit's behavior in each game. So the quote here is, various games will be released in the future, and data on the APU's behavior in each game will be collected. We have a plan to optimize the fan control based on this data. So they'll be able to kind of patch fan performance on a case-by-case basis, which is nice, because I think I assume with PlayStation 4, I'm not a hardware engineer, but I assume that stuff like, we know notably like God of War and what was the other one that was pretty taxing? Ghost of Tsushima this year?
Pretty much every exclusive the last 2 years have been hard. Like The Last of Us Part 2. Oof.
I don't remember that one being that bad, but maybe that was just me kind of ignoring the sounds of it.
It was the when you were in those rooms with the spores. The spores, that was when it got bad.
Oh. But I assume that in that case, the fan just kind of kicks on. Where here, they'll be able to, adjust accordingly for each fan output. He also said that Sony made a transparent model of the chassis of the PlayStation 5 and observed dry ice smoke flowing through it, taking temperature readings in each part of the system as engineers continue to make improvements of it. Mark, how much would you pay for a transparent model of a PlayStation 5?
Man, I mean, no more than the standard price, I guess.
What if it was purple?
I'm still, it'd be cool to have, but I still would need something to play.
Sick burn. Sick burn.
Well, good for you, Mark, that with your PlayStation Plus subscription, you will get access to all the games you have probably already played on PlayStation 4.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not okay. I'm not going to derail here because we have a lot of show to get through still. But real quick, I was doing one of those things where I let my mind wander a bit, and I idled on the thought of just how dumb Jim Ryan was to the whole we believe in generations thing. Because I was thinking about that this week because I think a lot of conversations around these new consoles is now shifting to, they launch in 2 weeks, and here's what you're going to be playing on them on launch day. And the fact that we're now this close to them, and the only thing that you cannot play on a PlayStation 4 is Demon's Souls. Every other game is coming out on PlayStation 4. Obviously, I'm not saying that it's not going to play better, look better, feel better, everything on PlayStation 5. But the whole we believe in generations thing, I was just kind of like, man, no, it's not. It's just not a thing. I mean, that was never Xbox's position anyway, but baffling.
Xbox
baffling Jim Ryan
does believe in generations, more or less.
Yeah, as it turns out. Tom Holland used the internet to share the first image of himself in full costume as Nathan Drake for the upcoming Uncharted movie. What did you guys think of this photograph of Mr. Holland? Or, I'm sorry, Nate.
I thought it was fine. He looks the part. I think Tom Holland is a good enough actor. I think he can get away from the Spider-Man little, image that everyone has of him. So, it was fine. I'm the one who put this in our Slack conversation, full transparency. The only reason I put it in there, I didn't care how you looked. I cared that they were actually shooting this film after years. I think that was the thing I was more surprised about.
Mark, what did you think of how he looked? Any comments?
He blends in with his surrounding a little too well.
Yeah, they did a good filter job there.
I always thought Tom Holland was just too young of a choice for Nathan Drake, unless they're doing a flashback or if it's an origin when he's in his younger years. I could see just because of the face, the build is perfect, but yeah.
They came out and said that this is going to be a younger Nathan Drake.
Okay, but this isn't based on the first game. This is more
I think this might be more like an origin kind of
tale. Yeah, kind of like the early parts in 4 or something like that. Was it 4?
Yeah, it's 3. You got the 3. You got Kid Drake for the first time. 4. You have flashback sequences with the brother, Sam, right? Sam, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch that movie with him where he doesn't get along with Robert Pattinson?
It's on my list.
I watched it.
Yeah, I thought he was good. That was I hadn't really seen him in anything besides Marvel stuff. So seeing him there, I was like, oh, okay, he's got some range.
Yeah, he was good in that. That movie was, but he was good in it.
I thought that was an interesting, slow care. That seemed like something adapted from a play. You know what I mean?
It's from a book.
Yeah. So looking at this though, I realized that like his clothes, maybe it's just not my style, but I thought everything looked a little baggy. It looked very 2007, which kind of fits in with the release of the game. But would you buy items from the Nathan Drake collection for men? You walk into a Target, there's a big picture of Tom Holland on the ceiling, smiling at you and giving you a thumbs up, saying, buy my DVD. What do you think the cologne would smell like? The Nathan Drake collection cologne.
Well, I don't know about cologne. That'd probably be just some like, it would probably just smell like, it'd probably be called like Cover and Hide Brick or something like that.
Oh, Cover and Hide is a good name for a cologne. I was going to go with Scent of a Nathan, but I like Cover and Hide a lot better.
But funny that you mentioned about clothes, because Insert Coin was selling Uncharted inspired merch where like you could get a blue or tan Henley for a little bit. And now they just have like the scarf, that blue scarf that he has like left.
Oh my gosh.
So kind of already exists.
Do you think if Tom Holland can revive this project from the dead, he can save the Fast and the Furious franchise from its planned ending after 2 more films?
No, he can't. No. I don't. He's not,
you don't want to see a reboot of the Fast and Furious franchise? Diesel.
I mean, yes. Hold on, yes, but we need the new Vin Diesel.
Who is the new Vin Diesel?
We don't know yet. I think that's the fun part. We don't know. He's somewhere. I
feel like the new Vin Diesel
wild.
is currently like making vlogs on TikTok. I think that's the current new Vin Diesel.
That could be it. I have a candidate who lives in Florida currently, but I just don't know if they got the acting chops. So, we'll see. But the next Vin Diesel is out there somewhere, and I'm very excited. It's not Tom Holland, though, and I don't want Tom Holland for that. Sorry.
Are you excited about the next Darkest Dungeon? Because we got a teaser trailer this week showing some concept art for the game, kind of put together like a motion comic in the video. But the key here about the Darkest Dungeon 2 teaser is that it announced a 2021 early access launching through the Epic Games Store. And then there was a subsequent follow-up to that stating that the game will launch on Steam at its 1.0 release, similar to how Hades just kind of went from early access on Epic and then full release on everything 1.0. Do you think so? You liked the first one quite a bit, Matt. Do you think it's a good time to go back through and play through the original now, or should folks probably wait for 2?
Those are hefty games. Like, this is one of those games where like I played so little of it, but adore it so much because of all the systems and it's just the overwhelming nature of everything from the moment you click into a new game to the moment where like things are going to shit in a battle. It's like all those mechanics and things. It is like a great dungeon crawler RPG, and the art style. And you mentioned the motion comic, like that's how like the cutscenes are, at least in the first one. I don't know if they'll change that for the second one, but there's a lot there, especially depending on the platform you have it on. Like if you you have the 2 DLCs, I think there's 2 or at least, depending on what platform you have it on. I mean, you can play them across any platform, but like if you have it on Steam, there's all kinds of stuff with modding. Like you can go through to change the run up a little bit. But it's one of those things where like once you start it, like you better commit to it, because you can't like walk away for a month and come back and remember what the hell you were trying to do.
Do you think it would be better to play it on Switch in that regard, where you can kind of commit yourself to playing it no matter where you are?
Maybe. The one thing that, like, the UI for a controller, at least from the main, the regular game stuff was fine, but like where like your hub where you're building your team, putting them in, like healing them, getting rid of their stress and all that stuff, like that was a very clunky thing because it wasn't like a laid out like grid of where to go. So I would very much like a touch. If you can touchscreen that stuff with Switch, then yes. If not, it's a little clunky in that hub world. Granted, you're probably not there a lot in the scheme of things. You're probably more doing the dungeon crawling stuff, but that's like my one downfall when I played on Vita a little bit. it wasn't that great there. So I think I would be more interested PC here unless they overhauled that a little bit.
Well, if you are looking for something to play on your Nintendo Switch, Splatfest is returning this coming weekend, starting October 30th through November 1st. Team Trick versus Team Treat. Right now, if you go through the news section of your Switch, if you guys haven't done this yet and you're interested, you should. You go through the news section on Switch and find the Halloween post for Splatoon. And by clicking like launch Splatoon from that, it'll give you the 4 in-game items, which one of them's a Jason mask, the other one's a devil horns. I forget the other. But you can do that. You can also come over here and grab my amiibo and scan them in if you want the witch's hat. I'm kind of hoping that the Splatfest shirts become available through My Nintendo because they started doing that with the Mario one, and I just want all the Splatfest shirts as something I can buy. And quick sidebar on My Nintendo, I reached out to Nintendo support this week because, y'all, it's been 6 months and we don't have that My Nintendo app that launched in Japan 6 months ago. So I just said, hey, can I have this? Basically. And thank you to Bill from Nintendo. I assume it was Bill Trennan on the other line. But yeah, dude was like, no, there's no plans for that. We've not officially announced anything for that, and all official announcements would be made through Nintendo.com. I was like, all right, cool. Is there a way for me to submit feedback and say that I want that? And he's like, I will submit feedback for you. I was like, I don't believe you, but thank you very much. Have a great day, Bill. Because, boy, I'd love to track my stats on that. Anyway, I think I'm going to jump back into Splatoon. Here's the thing. I say this every time. I feel like I'm going to jump back into Splatoon, and then the weekend comes and goes, and I don't know. So, who knows? If y'all want to jump in next weekend, get some... But I'm also going to be doing Animal Crossing Halloween stuff, real-life Halloween stuff. I got to figure out how to, put candy outside and not have it all stolen. I don't know what to do for that. I don't know if children are going to be trick-or-treating. I'm trying to figure that out.
Just throw it at them.
I think I'm going to make gift bags and put them at the bottom of the thing, and anyone who is walking by can just kind of have some candy and hand sanitizer or something.
Apparently, I've seen people put PVC pipe on their rails, and they just drop candy through a tube or something into their.
Oh, that's kind of sick! And then I can recycle that PVC pipe for other things.
Yeah, you can make it look like the sandworms from Beetlejuice or something.
Damn, that's actually really smart.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Well, if you're not playing Splatoon, maybe you're playing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Not a long thing on this, but this week, version 9.0 dropped, or I think last week, actually. And Steve and Alex are added to the game. And I jumped in and tried them out. Did you guys try Steve, Alex, Minecraft in Super Smash Bros. Yet?
I haven't even bought the pack.
Oh, dang.
I don't have either pack.
Yeah, so I don't have Min Min or Steve yet.
I think that the weird thing for me that I've noticed with these newer string of fighters is that for a long time, for I think every Smash game up until I think Fighters Pass 1 did a good job of starting this, but Fighters Pass 2 so far has completely shifted in this direction. I think when we used to think about, I want this character to be in Smash, it was always kind of how would we concede that character? How would we change that character to fit into the Smash Brothers fighting style? And now I feel like Sakurai and the whole development staff is how do we change Smash Brothers to fit this character? Because it felt like I was just playing Minecraft. I mean, yes, I'm on a 2D plane, but like Min Min, it felt like I was playing ARMS. I was just playing it on a 2D plane, and this was no different. It feels like Minecraft in so many ways. Obviously, the controls are different. Obviously, everything's different, but it felt really good. I don't know. It's kind of the short and the end of it. You just.
I mean, it's cool that they can translate that well between different genres and make it feel like the core game. I think that's how you have something good going on.
Yeah, I think adding Ryu to the game was the first step in this direction, because that was the first time they were hey, you can play it like Smash Brothers, but if you also want to do the Hadouken the same way that you would do it with Ryu and Street Fighter, you can, and I think that was like the first step towards something like this. Because obviously, like Terry is just a full-on fighting game character. Like it's that. I really, I like everything about what they've done so far. I just also hope that the next character is more of a like conventional is probably not the right word I want to use. Like that's what I have in the notes here, but like. I don't know. I like what they've done because it's all weird and it's all unique and it does bring flavor of other games, but I just haven't found a new fighter that I like playing since they've done a lot of these DLCs. Like, I go back to Joker every now and then. I think Min Min was probably the first one in a while, but I don't know. Like, we talked about this before, but I kind of fell off of Banjo. Like, all of them, when they come out, I do classic mode as them and I'll do a couple of the spirit fights and then I'm like, all right, yeah. I think it's easy enough to fall back into playing someone like Byleth just because I was already used to playing Marth or Lucina or some of the other Fire Emblem characters that one kind of worked, but it's still, I don't know.
I think Heroes stood out to me the most still, like Dragon Quest. Like
yes.
That's just that. I love that. I love how they did that.
Yeah. Super, super unique and the closest thing to Goku that we'll have. So
yeah.
December 4th, we are receiving Fire Emblem, Shadow Dragon, and the Blade of Light for the first time in North America. The game will be out for $5.99, fully localized officially by Nintendo, and they've added new features to the game such as save states, fast forward, and rewind. There's also a Fire Emblem 30th Anniversary Edition for the game available at select retailers. I checked, it was up on GameStop and sold out. In 2 waves have already sold out that I've become aware of. So missed out on that. But for $49.99, you get a replica NES box and game pack, a 222-page Legacy of Arcanea hardbound art book, and they have a newly localized instruction manual to match the original but with English text, and a full fold-out world map, Nintendo Power style. Damn. It's insane. All for $50. And then there's a digital download code for the game as well in the box. The game will be available until March 31st, 2021 at the end of the 30th anniversary celebration. I'm wondering, one, why is Fire Emblem... Like, this package is super rad, but what else are they going to end up doing for Fire Emblem's 30th anniversary, if anything? The most I've seen is like a Famitsu article that was celebrating it, and nothing really from Nintendo until now. And I checked... So far, there's no plans to kind of like do this updated version of the game in Japan, which the game's already available on the Famicom Switch Online stuff. So if you have that, you maybe don't need an updated version, but this does add the fast forward stuff, which is new. So I don't know. Before, I know you guys are already thinking, hey, Joe, next year's the 15th anniversary of Mother 3, so hopefully they just localize that next year. What do you think would or could receive an official English localization and a full celebration similar to this? Nintendo or not, but is there something that you're like, this is the one, they got to do it?
Yes. Goemon.
The original Famicom Goemon?
One of them, at least.
Yeah.
Japan has, like, maybe, like, between, like, old Famicom to, like, other systems, there's about, like, 16 games that have not seen stateside, and that's not including spin-offs or mobile games.
Right.
But, yeah, it'd be cool if they were on, like, Wii Virtual Console in Japan, but it'd be cool if, like, we had them localized and maybe do like a little, like, I don't know how many games are on there exactly. I thought it was maybe, I don't know if it's like three or 5, something like that. But it'd be cool just to like bundle that together and just nice little package.
I expected after they did that Castlevania, Contra, and Arcade collection that we would get like another round of Castlevania collection and a Goemon. I think also like at this point, because they own Hudson, they could do a Bomberman. They could do like a couple of different ones. Stuff like Twin Bee has made its way into the Switch Online, so maybe, I don't know. And I know that there's been some of those hamster arcade archives, so I don't know. Yeah, I think Goemon would be a good choice. Matt, any?
Nah, I can't think of anything. I don't really, especially from the past, because everything comes out worldwide now. Like, there's nothing that I'm aware of that I need to play. Besides,
a
sequel to maybe Earthbound in English.
What if? What if there was one? What if there was a Luigi in Super Mario Bros. 35? Was the question, and now it's been answered. Luigi has been discovered in Super Mario Bros. 35. There's kind of conflicts on what exactly unlocks playing as Luigi in the game. There's kind of a thing going back and forth that may be solved at this point, but at the time of the publishing of this article on Eurogamer, there were conflicts of, some said you had to reach player level 100. Others said you had to clear every stage through 8-4 at least one time. Either way, once one of those conditions is met, as you're starting up a new round, you hold L and you can play as Luigi. I didn't read the whole article, so I just read the part where you hold L, closed the article, turned on Super Mario 35, and was confused why Luigi was not showing up on the screen. And I did that for a while. I then was like, okay, what if I hold L on the D-pad? What if I hold ZL? What if I hold every left-facing button on the Switch and nothing ever worked? And then I went back and read the article and saw the actual conditions for it. Have you guys been playing Super Mario Bros. 35? Keeping up with that at all?
Nah.
Yeah, my Switch has been neglected recently. I mean, well, for a while.
Yeah. Well, you got that fancy PC now, so...
True.
I can see.
Very true. I mean, I'll turn on every now and then. I'll update some games, but, yeah, I don't give it much love.
Well, we're going to hear more about that fancy PC after a break, which we're going to jump into. And then we've got a hot question of the week. I think we've got a couple questions of the week. Look at that. I forgot how much we got planned. More on all of that right after this. Welcome back to the second half of the show. Mark, you've been playing Halo 3 Orbital Drop Shock Troopers?
Yep.
Dang, I'm pretty good with Halo lore. It's because I read half of that book, or 57%, as my Apple books would have you know. How has Halo 3 on PC, or ODST specifically, how's it on PC now that it's out? That's almost the final piece of the Master Chief Collection puzzle.
Yeah, I've been enjoying smoother frame rates, better visuals. It's, I thought it was going to be weird. I thought I wasn't going to like it because I associate Halo specifically, I mean, obviously specifically with like an Xbox and playing with a controller. So it always felt alien to think about playing with a mouse and keyboard, even though we've had Halo 1 and 2 for like Windows Live or PC or whatever the bullshit happened way back. But that aside, yeah, it was going to be weird playing a game that I'm used to having a rumble feature and then not have a rumble feature. I don't know why that was an important thing to me, but it was when jumping to that, and then I got into it, and I am thoroughly enjoying it. Not that I was ever like a real doubt, but I thought just doing mouse and keyboard, I just thought that was just going to be just a weird thing to get used to, and it really wasn't. I mean, had to remap some of the controls because whatever their default layout is for PC is a mess. and
that shit is terrible.
There's just not you realize how many buttons you need for Halo, and I thought it was kind of a simple game, and then trying to map it to where I enjoy it, at least trying to have like each mouse function do a thing. Like I have mouse wheel up to switch guns, mouse wheel down to switch grenades. And then I have the right click for grenades and the left click for shooting. And then
you mean to do that? The wheel up, wheel down difference?
Yeah.
Oh, I panic, and I like when I'm switching weapons, I panic and just Just either way, switch with the weapon real quick.
I don't know why. Like, I don't know why that made sense for me. I just don't like hitting the numbers on the keyboard to switch weapons. I like old Doom style. I don't like doing that. I don't know why. Like, I need my hand to be.
I don't
clawed
either.
To
the only
movement.
one I can do it in is Quake.
Yeah,
but
like even Unreal Tournament kind of did it. But I would still. I mean, that had a mouse wheel function at that point to just whatever flip through it. But yeah, I don't know. I did have I think clicking in the mouse wheel I have for melee. Because right click was like, there's no point in looking down sights in Halo unless you're using the sniper, maybe the battle rifle, but I mostly shoot from the hip for me personally.
Yeah, and I bet with mouse and keyboard it's way less necessary to aim down sights. Right.
Like, I just feel more accurate with everything. So yeah, it was just weird. I just wish, the one issue I had with it was that, I don't know if they patched it since then, but I've had to remap these controls every time I boot up the game. And that gets pretty annoying. Like, it will save all your settings while you're still in there, and if you're switching between Halo games, but if you exit out of Master Chief Collection entirely, and then you go in the next day and start it back up, it kind of forgets everything. But now I have it, like, mapped to my brain what everything is, so I only have to change, like, maybe 5 things. So it's really, like, it's just a minor annoyance, I guess, more than anything. It's not, like, painstaking, doesn't deter me from playing it or something. But I hope they fix that.
No, that shit's annoying. Even if it's like 5 changes, because every time I play Madden online, the depth charts always reset, and like it doesn't remember your depth chart. So like you have to every gameplay session you have to go through and like change some position and stuff. And it's like it results in like 4 changes, but it's annoying just to scroll through all the menus and change it. I completely understand the minor, quote unquote, minor annoyance.
I think it would be way more annoying if I was like playing it every day or something, if I was more dedicated to it and doing online matches and all that too. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely annoying. I don't want to make that any less significant than what it really is. But playing that game, like it's still my favorite Halo, I think, out of like probably out of all of them. I mean, I still like Halo 3. But there's something about ODST. It just stands out to me. I like the way they set that story up and switching through different characters and having just like a little town to walk through in between and getting the audio logs. And even though I don't really care about that story, I did find myself getting more invested into it as I went along. I don't care for watching it, though, like the little slideshow pieces, because they're kind of hard to make out more than half the time. It's like blurry sketches. And, I mean, it's cool they have it in there, but I see why you can just listen to it while playing instead of having to stand there and watch it, even though I still would stand there and watch it. I don't know. But it kind of gives me a glimpse of, like, what Halo Infinite will kind of be. I think they're taking some elements from this, where you might have some random enemy drops every here and there between serious missions or something just to keep the flow going or whatever. But, I don't know. I like that. It's unique to me.
Would you ever want them to do not ODS2, but like another game in that style where it's more grounded and less? Because that game is, well, I mean, it's still Halo, right? But like it's definitely a different feel. Like a side story. Would you? I think Infinite has its place as like the big next one, but
yeah, I think being an ODST is what really is the selling factor for me. I like not being a super powerful Spartan. Believe it or not, I kind of like having to use more of like a not necessarily stealth, but you do have to think a little more about your choices, and not just because you're not on like. Usually, you have to think like that when you're legendary or something, right? Like you don't want to die a lot, so you have to kind of strategic. Unless you're playing with friends, then you can just have one of us anchor back and be the respawn point for you. Or
not in Halo 5. Not in Halo 5.
Sans Halo 5.
Right.
Or Halo 2 Anniversary Edition.
Halo 2, yeah. Something about 2 and 5. I don't know what.
Yeah, but I don't know. Just the whole like at night in the city, and sometimes it's raining or something. I don't know, it was just neat. So I guess if it's more like covert stuff, I think I'd be into it.
So full disclosure here, I actually did it. All right, so I didn't play it, but I did install ODST on my PC. and I think I'm finally going to hop in at some point.
Yeah, I think they with the PC release they added the online versing matchmaking for that.
Is that part of the Master Chief Collection, or is that like on its own? Okay, cool. Then I might could run some of that too.
But they added that as Master Chief. Like you don't have to buy it for $5 separate now.
On PC, let me download it.
Sick.
Yeah, like I think it's now like an official like mainstay now because
right. That
with
was
the Halo 3 update,
Master
you could
Chief.
customize your Spartan. Now you can customize your ODST and have those little matches and whatever. I think that has like a
I remember.
mode.
A lot of people already had it for free anyway, because wasn't that given to free for like day one purchasers of the Master Chief Collection?
I think it was like if you bought it in the first year of Master Chief Collection or something, they gave it to you.
Because of all the problems that weren't fixed until like 3 years later.
But that was just like the core game, right? It wasn't like the multiplayer stuff.
I think so, yeah.
Right, I don't think they added multiplayer until much later. If you wanted multiplayer, you had to go back to the OG 360 release.
Yeah, and now you have new unlocks with the perks. So I have like a now ODST like nameplate and all that.
That's sick. Speaking of unlocks, Matt, you've been playing some Warzone.
Yes. You know.
I mean, as you do anyway, but now there's some scary stuff inside, right?
Yeah, the Haunting of Verdansk, the new Halloween event for Call of Duty dropped. This is really well done. Like, I'm impressed with how much little attention to detail and the spookiness of it that it makes the next game I'm going to talk about after this very underwhelming.
So is this the update that you wish they had done a month ago? Like, remember there was one update that happened, like a big season change that you felt it was kind of like lackluster? Is this where all the resources went? Maybe
it could just because they knew they had to hit the timing and everything had to work. Maybe that's why it launched the way it was, and he just made sure to prioritize the development of this to make sure it worked when it had to work. Because after Halloween the event goes away, so maybe that's what happened. I don't know, but anyway, like this is tons of fun. So. Couple different things here. The whole game in Modern Warfare got some tweaks. Like there's different various like little Halloween things in our multiplayer playlist, stuff like that. I'm not going to go into detail there because they're minor changes. But in Warzone itself, two things. They've been cycling them through as this event goes along, and it will keep cycling until the end of it. But like different sections or different one of the different queues, whether it's duos, trios, quads, one of them is getting the night map treatment every couple days. So yeah, Verdansk has gone at least the one mode has gone dark. So it is night, only moonlight, thermal
full ODST mode.
Yeah, pretty much like thermal, like weapon, like scopes is like very much needed. They don't give you the night vision goggles, which I don't think you really need it. It's not that dark in certain areas, but dude, if you don't have access to the direct moonlight, like especially out in the wooded areas, it gets dark and it's hard to see people, especially if they have like certain operator skins that are like all black or whatever. But with the night stuff, there's also spooky things all throughout Verdansk, and it's just like random floating ghosts out in like popular like little areas. Like the one spot, Farmland, has ghosts like all throughout it. I'm just going to also throw this out there. Like they went out and got some licensed things. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Billy, I believe, from Saw. Is that the name of the little dude on the bicycle or tricycle?
Yeah, I think so.
Little doll thing that's always around.
I thought it was Tobin.
Oh, what?
Tobin?
What?
Tobin.
No, Tobin Bell is the actor who plays Jigsaw.
Oh,
yeah, I know. I don't know the name of the little boy. Is it Billy? Mark, you would know.
I think it is Billy. That sounds right.
So
Billy the Saw Boy. Is that his name?
So, God damn it. So they are actually you can buy those operator skins. They are $20 each, and they come with a bunch of other things like weapon skins, whatever. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre has a vehicle horn that's just pig squealing. The Britface Yo has come to life in Verdansk.
What?
There was a horn.
You buried the leader. You left that out of the notes.
Oh, I know I left it out of the
rightfully
notes.
so.
I know I left it out of the notes. I just need to make sure you all were listening because, I've talked about this enough all throughout the year.
Well, I was looking for. I do what I can to stay engaged, but I was also looking at the Billy the Saw Boy. I was looking it up to confirm that you are correct. But then you hit me with a quick little, and I'm. You gave me whiplash there for a second.
So yeah, those operator bundles, you can get them with COD points or $20 or hey, however you want to buy them. But yeah, those there's official licensed stuff, and they've brought in some of the licensed stuff as Easter eggs in the map too. So like in the area of farmland, like you just might hear like a random chainsaw, and there's like a ghost of Leatherface around. And one of the newer train stations that came out this season, like there's a saw room with like the Billy doll like in the corner, like it would be like a trap room. There's like blood pools all over the floor and stuff. What else? There's Ghost. There's like all kinds of various little things. But like now, like you have to be careful when you open up crates because the crates could do one of those little jump scare little like noise things now. So like, and that's even regular Warzone. Like during the day, you can get those jump scare crates. So this is a lot of fun. So now when I'm like, hitting all the crates when you first drop in, I'm like a little bit more timid to hit a crate. I'm like, God damn it, please don't be it. And then I get hit and I jump every single time. I know it's coming, but it's still like just loud enough, and yeah, it just gives right in your face for that little brief second. So yeah, like Verdansk is kind of scary. And then the exclusive or the event exclusive mode called Zombie Royale is so much fun. Essentially, they've took out as many battle royale. So the circle is already kind of like in its first like circle. Technically, they section it off enough there to keep the games kind of quick. And then they essentially knock out the gulag, and you come back as a zombie who runs around. And you have different like kind of powers. You can launch gas, which is essentially like a gas grenade. You can do like an EMP blast as a zombie, which is incredibly dumb but fun at the same time. And then you have these like super jumps, where you can kind of jump, like think like jumping like the Incredible Hulk does, like big leaps like that. Like you probably about 100 meters you could make if you charge up your jump enough. So and you're a little bit faster than an operator, not too much faster, just a little bit. So you could catch up to someone that they were running. But yeah, so you're looking for blood vials that float after someone died, like human form dies. And if you get 2 of those, you come back, you drop back in as your human form with your loadout, like whatever guns you had from before. It keeps the gameplay like really fast, which is like even faster than regular Warzone compared to other battle royales already is. But there's just something with the zombies. Well, you can shoot the zombies too, and if you die as a zombie, you are officially dead, but you can always be bought back by your squad, so the game could always keep going on for you. But with the chaos of the zombies running around, of course, you still have to look out for other players who are still legitimately playing. Like, it is just like mass chaos all over the spot. And like as the circle closes, as a zombie, you can go into the gas. So like if you're one of those, if you're in the position where you're just kind of walking the gas line like into the next circle, like I've never played with my back like not facing the gas. Like I'm usually facing the gas walking backwards because of zombies landing right into the edge of the gas and trying to come out and attack you. Like the entire time I played Warzone this year, in the last like 5 days, I've looked into the gas more than ever. So like it's just mass chaos. It's so much fun. The first game we played as a squad, or maybe it was the second one, we got a win, but it was like one of those wins where like one of us was still alive. They would literally come back, get blood vials, come back as a human, drop in for like 2 seconds, die, come back as a zombie, get the blood vials real quick, come back as a human, die. Like he literally won because he was dropping in from like the 5th time in the rotation that had happened, and zombies like overwhelmed the last guy who was alive. The zombies killed him, and then he was just because he was the last human alive, we won. So like, and all this happened in a matter of like minutes. It wasn't like 10 minutes of watching it. It was like 2 minutes. So like, it's a fun mode. I don't think it's gonna like count towards your stats of Warzone, but it doesn't matter. if you're someone that really cares about all that stuff, like this is just so much to play and run into, and I think I might be sad when it goes away in 2 weeks.
How do you think a mode like this could influence like the ongoing Warzone after this, or do you think it even will, or is it still kind of like, let's see what happens when Cold War comes out?
I think it's too late for any kind of hard pivot going into Cold War. I think they're going to have to see how Cold War turns out or whatever. I'm still like not 100% sure what is changing with Warzone when Cold War comes out. Like, I don't know if it's going to be a whole new like map or huge changes to the map. Like, obviously it's going to be in the same engine. I just don't know like if the guns are going to change. Like I said, I don't know what Warzone's even going to look like regularly, but I feel like you kind of have to see what that looks like, and then maybe around Christmas or a little bit after Christmas, you can kind of maybe pivot a little bit. But like, I think it just shows like how strong like a mode that has like the NPC, like a possible NPC stuff or like another element to it, like Hunt Showdown has, or one of the battle royales like that. Like, it's adding that extra element. It's to, you know, that could maybe take your attention away from the main objective is I think the next step of the whole BR genre. I think like, you know, that's one of the things that we like about Hunt so much is the extra element of like ghouls and whatever. And, you know, that's definitely its own thing. Like, I like the fact that game has a low player count. I like the fact that game moves slow the way it does. But yeah, like I could easily see them like putting in some zombies, like not human, like not control, but NPC zombies at some point. Cause Cold War is going to have a zombies mode, unlike Modern Warfare. So it's interesting, but like just the fast paced chaos of it all is so much fun. And like I said, I think I'm gonna sorely miss it in 2 weeks. I will say the Warzone, the regular Warzone thing before we go into, or before the haunting happened, it's kind of drying up. I'm ready for like a change. I've actually been playing a lot more of the multiplayer stuff, like Search and Destroy and Gunfight and that kind of stuff, more so than Warzone as of late. So I'm ready for this. This is a nice change. I'll definitely be playing this for the next couple of weeks, but yeah, I think the timing of Cold War it's good. However, it changed, or if it changes at all.
How has Rocket League adapted to reach the needs of Halloween?
It's so, you know, the Llama Rama event. Remember that?
I recall. Yeah, you got your Fortnite bus.
Yeah, and then you just kind of did challenges. Nothing like terribly difficult. I was like, you know, get 10 assists, or, you know, get a goal in a game. And you got the piece of equipment, and at least with the Llama Rama event, like, you had to like get the wheels and then equip the wheels to do the challenge, and you had to kind of like zigzag through the challenge. Nope, this is just like, hey, score 10 goals and here's a Ghostbusters thing, and that's the event. Like, I haven't, like, you know, the one from, well, yeah, it was last year. Like, we had the Stranger Things map, Stranger Things theme, like, all that stuff was dropping. Like, it wasn't, like, it still wasn't as good as what Haunted and Verdansk did, but at least, like, I don't know, there was a little bit more effort into this, into that. But this is just, like, you know, there's no Ghostbusters theme. There's no, like, new map.
Oh, they don't have the song?
No, at least not that I've heard. It hasn't
Didn't
come
they
up
do the Ghostbuster stuff for that one summer movie thing?
Yeah. So, like, I don't know how I never got that stuff because I didn't play it a lot when that stuff was rolling out. So I don't know if any of this is like repetitive to it. I doubt it is. I'm sure it's unique, but like still, I don't know. Like, there is the limited time game mode, but that's not even that fun. It's like you hit the ball and it's like gets supercharged and it can curve. Like, it's like the ball gets magnetized to the goal whenever you hit it. So like you always have to have a keeper, but like, it's not even that fun. Like, it's the equivalent of, I don't know if you ever played this. I've played it as a kid. Like, we would set up like soccer goals or whatever. Like, you know, like kind of not maybe the whole field, but far enough away, like maybe like half field. And then you would kind of stay behind a line and try to kick the ball into the goal, like, you know, but you can't cross a line. That's almost how this plays. And in Rocket League, that's fucking boring. So, yeah, not the same. Yeah, it's called Haunted Heatseeker. It's it's there. I mean, it's new stuff for Rocket League. That's always nice, and
Sure,
it's challenges to get experience to boost the Rocket Pass if you own that. So there's some stuff there.
Not the Halloween event that you want, though.
No, especially when the other game I play all the time has so much
Seems
care.
to be doing it so well.
But yeah, that's Rocket League.
Are there any other good Halloween modes right now? We're going to talk a little bit about a full-on spooky game in a few minutes, but we've got obviously the Splatfest coming up. We've got is Verdansk kind of the clear? I say it every once in a while that you've sold me on playing Warzone. I'm not going to go that far because I already know I'm not going to install it. But you've at least for the first time in 6 months made me sit up a little bit. The pig squeal horn is a really good touch there.
That's going to be with the purchase though. Just remember that.
Okay, I'm out. Yeah, see.
Yeah,
but I'm that seems like the clear winner for Halloween event right now. Unless are there any other ones out there that are?
I don't know of anything. Unless Mark might be a little bit more acknowledged. No. Oh my god, I can't speak again this week. Mark might know more about other games than I do, but not that I'm aware of. Verdansk is my clear winner, at least of what I played.
I haven't played these. I'm just aware of them. I know, Red Dead Online technically has a thing, but it's no Undead Nightmare. I'm going to say that right now.
All right.
It's just a couple skins, a game mode, I guess, where you can play as a zombie or a creature or something, and then it's basically like a GTA Online kind of thing. It's not really a full-on expansion or whatever. What's that Ubisoft Battle Royale game?
Oh, the one I haven't played. Something
Hyperspace, I think.
Hyperscape? Yeah.
Yeah. They have a Halloween thing going on, apparently. It looks kind of cool. It's all futuristic, techie, spooky stuff. No, it's just a weird hybrid. And
I gotta get around to trying that game out. I haven't played it yet.
And Overwatch has its usual Junkenstein stuff or whatever. They keep adding new skins and whatever.
And then just a little acknowledgement on the level of detail. I said that stuff went into multiplayer. The bomb in Search and Destroy, they even swapped out the skin for the bomb that floats for a skull. It's little things like that they are putting into all the modes too. So yeah, it's well done. Infinity Ward and whoever else worked, Beanox, and any of the 13,000 studios that work on Call of Duty now.
Yeah, this sounds like a lot was put into it. Even even with Splatoon, I still feel there's you could just see they do more than just a game mode, decorating and whatnot. Just
I even going. I mean, I probably won't hop into the Splatoon, the Splatfest, but I just the week before Splatfest when you go into the lobby and you can see that construction of the stage that. I always love that. I'm shit, we're getting ready.
It's a good in between.
I have a quick question to break up the conversation here a little bit before a couple more news stories and our inevitable ending. Which game do you feel has been overshadowed by another of its contemporaries, but was still really good? I think after hearing Matt's journey through Mafia Definitive Edition, I think about how we both made a lot of assumptions about Mafia originally, and a lot of them were tied to that release somewhere roughly in the PS2 Grand Theft Auto 3 era. So what other game has been overshadowed where maybe you didn't think about it as something you'd want to play, or a poor facsimile of its whatever, but actually was a good one?
I can't think of a game I missed out on personally, but I just know industry, and it's kind of fucked us, at least me personally, from that point on. But the ESPN football the 2K football series, essentially. I was a fan of them, and I had 2K4. I never went and bought 2K5, which was the last one. But because the 2K5 did a lot for it. It kind of started emerging from the shadows because of the $20 price point and all the other stuff. But just that was. it was like in its beginning days, especially I was with just a Dreamcast exclusive. I feel like it was always Madden, and just because it was locked to Dreamcast, 2K didn't really flourish until the ESPN license was picked up. And then little by little, word of mouth got around that, hey, this was a good game. But remember, at that time, Madden was peak too. Like, peak Madden was like Madden 04, 05, like right in there. So, you know, what competition can do for you. But then, of course, the rights were bought up by EA, and the overshadow continues.
Mark?
So, like, I think mine's kind of like a reverse, where I feel like the games I played were the lesser known ones, and I would notice that they would get overshadowed by the more popular ones. Like
Joe is drawing out a TM on the wall. We haven't done that in a while.
I think I noticed this most with like the PS2 era. So I never played Diablo when it came out. And so I didn't know that this game was like that, but I played Champions of Norath on PS2, which is basically EverQuest's version of Diablo. So there's that. Yeah. I thought that was pretty fun. Just the different races you can be, and you customize your character from the start. So like, yeah, you have your gender, then you have your race, and whatever. I think you have to pick your class too. So it's a little more. There's more variety, I think, compared to Diablo, where you just have like a set person thing, whatever. So like that was cool. There's also that whole like third person action genre that PS2 was probably most popular for. So like Devil May Cry was probably like top of that, or God of War or something. But similar to Devil May Cry, I would play a game called Chaos Legion. I don't know if it's good now, but I liked it back then. And that definitely has some like same vibes of Devil May Cry, of like the whole like gothic aesthetic, and you know, you have like your spiky haired looking anime like protagonist with like a long trench coat, and you have different big swords and whatnot, and fighting demons and whatever.
That ended up having direct lineage to Astral Chain, right?
Did it?
I think you said Chaos Legion, right? Isn't that the one?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that like a lot of the similar ideas ended up becoming Astral Chain years later, because Chaos Legion was Capcom, right?
I don't even know now. I forget.
I might be but I'm pretty sure that like when Astral Chain was coming out, that was kind of a thing there, where Chaos Legion had similar.
Yeah. Wow, that is Capcom. Well, so then Capcom overshadowed their own game with
Devil May Cry. But hey, that happens too, right? Like, I can't think of other examples. Well,
but there's another game I think I kind of put together with Chaos Legion. It's like super similar. I just can't think of the whole name. It's like Nano something. Crap. But it's basically the same premise.
Satinus?
No, it's like it's like a simple word. I forget. I just know the word nano is in there, I think. Nano Breaker. Yeah, Nano Breaker. That's a Konami joint. That's
yeah.
But you're like a long white-haired person with a sword going through and hack and slash and stuff. That kind of gave me similar vibes to all that. So I played those a lot more than Devil May Cry or whatever.
It's funny how that stuff happens, and I wonder if it's like a matter of marketing is just better for something than something else, or what it is. But yeah, it's interesting, and it's cool that something like Mafia can still get celebrated today. I hope that something like a Chaos Legion, or what was the first one?
Champions of Norath.
Yeah, thank you.
That had 2 games.
I'd like to see a hot remaster of that in 2020, maybe 2021 at this point, because everything's 2021 at this point. But,
yeah.
You mentioned Konami. Konami has filed some trademarks for Gensu Suiko Gaiden, Ganbare Goemon, and Emotional Voice System. Gensuo Suiko Gaiden is a visual novel spin-off of Suikoden that never left Japan. The last game in the series was its second volume, released in March 2001. Ganbare Goemon, known also as Goemon or Mystical Ninja outside of Japan, saw its last release on Nintendo DS in June 2005. And then Emotional Voice System is the name adopted by the Tokimeki Memorial series, which there is a new title for Tokimeki Memorial being developed for Switch. Typically these trademark filings are simply just to make sure that, they cross their I's and dot their T's. Do you think that any of this will lead to something? Like, is this the sign of the Goemon collection that Mark dreams of? Or is it just, we got to do this so no one else does?
No.
My initial thought for Goemon was just to keep the patchy slots going. Sadly. Even though, kind of fitting for that franchise. Because Goemon throws coins as a weapon, and he's a thief. So them taking your money like that is pretty smart. But I mean, I hope. I mean, I've seen some minor resurgences from other sites, like they're re-releasing soundtracks on vinyl now, and like I pre-ordered that immediately. There's other acknowledgments in other places, so hopefully they're paying attention to that.
Maybe. They have also at least responded to questions regarding the playable teaser, also known as PT, confirming, obviously, that you will not be able to re-download PT to your PlayStation 5, same way that you cannot currently re-download it to your PlayStation 4. You should be able to transfer it. This is not confirmation by Konami, but just by general system transfer, PT should transfer to a PlayStation 5. However, no idea if it's going to be confirmed to work on the system.
We'll see about that.
At least not for a couple weeks. Actually, I think press started to get their PlayStation 5s this week. So, somebody's going to find out sooner or later whether or not. And then sell a PlayStation 5 for quadruple the price.
That's going to be me.
I mean, there is a way to download PT on your PS4, and I had 2 people do it, and it worked.
Yeah, so I think that if y'all need it, you can. There's always going to be a way. But yeah, I wonder if it will play natively on a PlayStation 5 or not.
Definitely.
That's another thing Konami's just sitting on. The Fox engine. Just there, doing nothing, collecting dust.
They were using it for soccer for a long time. I don't know if I think they may have started to move to a different thing, but they were using it for the subsequent Evolution
that was something we talked about earlier in the summer, I think. I think they were moving to Unreal.
I think that's the case.
It's just there.
Yeah, I know. At this point, maybe it's outdated. I don't know. I'm not sure. What is not outdated, though, is Resident Evil, as it continues to evolve and change itself to stay relevant. Famitsu spoke with producers for Resident Evil Village, or Resident Evil 8, Tsuyoshi Kanda and Peter Fabiano, to seek clarity regarding some of the questions that have arisen from the game's latest storybook trailer, and ask about the 25th anniversary of the series. There's a couple things. I'm not going to go too deep into some of the stuff for folks who want to stay a little bit blind with Resident Evil 8/Village. But there were a couple of questions like, hey, is that definitely Chris who attacks Ethan's house? And they said, yes, but we can't tell you why. They said, how about that guy in the trailer? Is that the same guy as the guy who sells you stuff in Resident Evil 4? And they said, I can't go into detail, but it's definitely a reliable presence for Ethan. Whatever that may mean. And then finally, 2 logos were shown off along with some commemorative artwork for the 25th anniversary next year. We see a Biohazard 25th anniversary logo. Well, they both are, but one of them has kind of a 25 and a shield, very prominent with the umbrella logo beneath it. And the other is kind of a cute raccoon logo, with a big 25 below the raccoon. The one is described as being a little bit more spooky. They wanted to liven up the anniversary with the, quote, coolness and, quote, iconic cuteness of Resident Evil, which I don't know if that's just a weird translation of the interview or if there really is... I don't know. Mark, as our Resident Evil expert, tell me, do you feel that Resident Evil has an inherent iconic cuteness?
No. I mean, that was never really its thing, unless you're like thinking about like spin-offs or something. Like wasn't oh no, she wasn't. I thought Jill was a playable character in like Puzzle Fighter, like Gem Fighter or something, but I think one of Chun-Li's combos is that she wears Jill's outfit and fires a gun for a second. That's like the closest thing I could think of to like chibi cute something. But isn't that raccoon thing the things you shoot in Resident Evil 2 remake?
Yeah, and I guess it's becoming a bigger part of their celebration for this. I don't know. Maybe it's just something to put on a t-shirt and sell a little bit of.
Japan loves mascots. They have a mascot for everything.
I mean, Raccoon City, like, you know, yeah. And I don't think you can't pick one person as the mascot. I think the little cute raccoon, because Raccoon City is obviously the iconic part of Resident Evil.
Sure.
I think that makes sense.
Sure. I would have done that famous zombie that turns around in the first one that you first spot eating somebody.
Yeah. There's a that would be a good. I can like visualize that, like kind of the black and white, you know what I mean, like the monochrome logo treatment they could do for that.
Or they might have used it already.
Yeah, maybe. Well, there that is. But moving into other spookiness, Mark, you have our final game we're going to talk about today, Phasmaphobia, which I've seen a little bit of. You told me about it, and this, I guess set up what is Phasmaphobia for people who don't know of it, and what has drawn you to it so much.
In a nutshell, it is a ghost hunting game. You and up to 3 other friends, you go exploring various buildings and houses to try to determine what kind of ghost you're dealing with. So the actual proper ghost hunting team can fight it and rightfully capture it. So we're basically just a group of analyzers more than anything. We're not trying to exorcise the ghost in any way or fight it. You're just trying to survive enough, keep your sanity good enough to try to determine based on the clues and tools that you're using. And trying to think, I want to say there's about 10 or 12 different ghosts to determine. And they can, I mean, like I said before, like they can kill you. So like the whole fun thing about this is the way that you communicate with each other. It's not fun if you're in like a Discord or something like that. I would prefer the in-game chat for this because you have 2 functions with it. You can do your local chat by push to talk like by each other. And it's like proximity. And then you have a walkie-talkie, and that's a separate button. And that can just communicate with anybody wherever you're at, kind of like a party chat. But if a ghost happens to get you, you go into ghost mode, and you can see everything in a weird, nice blue, glowy color, but you can't communicate with anybody, or vice versa. So, like, if you're like,
you can't like haunt their walkie-talkie.
No, you can listen to them, but you can't. At least right now, you can't do that. Yeah. But it all starts off like you're in a lobby and you're picking all the items you want to bring with you. And for every mission, you'll get experience. You level up, which unlocks harder difficulties, which just means you have less of a grace period to set up stuff in the house without getting attacked. And that gives you more money as well to buy more things. Because if you die, you lose all the items you brought with you that you paid for. But you start off like in this truck. It's
I was gonna ask, is this like a hunt showdown where like you have a character profile and then like if you die you lose everything kind of thing, or is this like per game?
Nah, it's like you have characters to choose from, but they don't like those characters specifically do not level up. Just your account overall levels up. The characters don't do anything. There's no perks. They're all just the same, just look different. No,
because you said about dying and you lose everything. I was like, do you just keep getting money and you just keep it, and then if you die, you have to kind of restart kind of thing, but never mind.
I mean, like, so, whenever you first start out, you first start off in, like, the back of, like, this truck. This truck has a computer in it, some shelving units for all these items. You get starter items, always. Like, you get, like, one of, like, a couple handful of things. But anything else extra, you would have to buy from this catalog. And that goes into your inventory. And you could buy multiples of whatever. So let's say I bought, like, flashlights, right? Like, I could buy, like, 10 flashlights. The game only lets you add up to 4, because there's 4 of you. But, so if I brought 4 of them with me, and I died, I lose those 4. But because I still have the other 6 in my inventory, I can still add those if I wanted to. But yeah, you start off in a truck, and usually, if it's a house, you're automatically linked to a security camera that's like on the front door. And it's usually like in night vision, but you can switch between it. And you can wear like a GoPro, essentially. You can buy that, or you can get other DSLR cameras and set them up on tripods or whatever in the house. And you can have the person in a truck look through all the different camera angles to try to spot like ghost orbs or some kind of activity. So like we have a friend who, like they have like a genuine fear of ghosts, but to play with friends, that's how we got them to play, but they would stay in a truck. And like sometimes they would come to the front door and bring something, but it's good when for harder difficulties to have like a dedicated truck person, like, cause they can spot not only the cameras in the house, but there's a chart on the other side of the wall, like behind you. So like if this is like, so like in front of me would be a screen, behind me would be like this board, and you can see the map of the house. You can switch between the floors and see the whole blueprint layout, and it tracks where you are. And if you put up any sensors, it'll show you where the sensors are at and what camera you're looking through. There's a sanity meter. Everybody has their own sanity percentage. The longer you are in the dark, that drains your sanity, and that makes you more susceptible to getting hunted by the ghost. And like, so like, if you reach 0, yeah, like you won't die, but you will trigger hunts more often. And trying to survive those is, it takes a while to figure out. I would be the one that would die a lot out of everyone because I was just whatever. But usually like your flashlights will start blinking. The door will shut and lock so you can't get out. And all communication is cut off with walkie-talkies. And so you have to like, whatever room it spawned in, you have to go to like the opposite end of the house, maybe to be the safest, or another floor if you have another floor, like basement or upstairs or attic or something. Shut the door, go in a corner, like face down the corner, and just wait until the light is done blinking and you hear the doors unclick so you can get out. Or else you'll hear like this breathing and hands come in front of your eyes from like behind you, and then you get taken to like this ghost dimension.
Now, is there any way to get you out of the ghost dimension?
No. But
go to the buy station. It's $4,000. Oh, wrong game. Sorry.
Yeah. Right. Like, you have a journal with you the whole time as well, and that's where like if you take pictures, like there will be like optional objectives on like this whiteboard while you're in there, like while you're trying to figure out what kind of ghost it is. You'll get extra money if you like take pictures of like any kind of evidence. So like if there's like a random bone in the house, you can take a picture of that and then collect it. That's extra money. If you take a picture of the ghost, obviously you get money for that. Sometimes there's a Ouija board in the house. You don't have to use it, but if you take a picture of that too, that counts as something. Like any type of like interaction that a ghost has done, with like fingerprints on a door or something, with like using a UV light, you can see like a handprint or something like that. That's cool. But yeah, but using the tools to figure it out, there's usually like maybe like 4 main tools or something like that, I think. You use this thing called a spirit box, which is like essentially just a radio. But depending on the ghost, another fun thing about this game is that it listens to you the whole time. Like, your microphone plays a big part, even when you're, like, not actively talking to your friends. So, like, you don't need to press in a button to activate, like, a ghost listening to you. Just even with it off, it will still listen to you. So, like, if you're using a spirit box, you have to ask it a question and see if it'll talk back through the radio. And sometimes it will, sometimes it won't, depending on the type. But even if you don't have that spirit box, you could still say something. You could, if saying their name will still provoke them. They don't like hearing their name. So that can also trigger a thing. So we kind of got cocky at one point, and all of us were just spamming the name. Like, the ghost name was like Thomas Martin or something, and we were all just like, Thomas Martin, Thomas Martin, Thomas Martin. Like, just 4 of us just doing that until, like, the hunt happened, and then obviously, like, one of us died, unfortunately, and then the rest of us got out.
How many ads on your phone relating to Thomas Martin did you get immediately after that?
Surprisingly, nothing yet.
Okay.
I got a suspicious email that said ellipses, so I don't know what that's about.
I don't mean to interject here.
Yeah.
I have one question. This has kind of been a question of 2020, I think. Does this have a season pass?
No. This is, like, the game is just $13. It's all done by, like, one person, and it's impressive for what it is. Yeah, like, it has that jank, you know, it has that unpolished, but it's a fun game. Like, I've been playing
game
this.
doesn't anymore, though, even with
Right.
AAA ones.
Like, I think I had, like,
yeah.
40, I think I've clocked over 40 hours in this game, and I've played over, like, I've only played for, like, 4 days.
I can verify that whenever I am up late playing Warzone, he is up playing Phasmaphobia at the same time.
Because, like, the thing about it is, like, each, like, mission is probably, like, half hour to, like, an hour if you're trying to do everything. So it's cool that, like, you don't need to be, like, I don't want to say you don't have to be super focused, but it doesn't require a lot of you to play this game. Like, it's not skill based exactly. It's just more about just knowing what's what and knowing when to get out and keeping yourself in check. It's I guess it's more managing than anything, but it's done at such a pace where it doesn't feel like a drag, and the repetitiveness between, like, 5 levels or something doesn't feel boring. It doesn't feel stale. I mean, it's kind of getting there just from playing so much of it, and I know they're going to keep adding stuff and polishing it or whatever, but so I can see that kind of starting to, like, kind of overstay its welcome just a little bit, but I still enjoy it because trying to figure out the different ghosts is always fun. And it's never like this one ghost has a certain character model. It's any character model mixed with any of these things. So you never know what to expect.
So what is the win condition? What's, like, the win-loss here?
The win condition is getting out alive and guessing the ghost right.
Is it like a clue thing? Like, do you have to wait for the level to be over and then you do it, or can you, like?
Nope, you can leave at any time. Even if you don't technically solve the thing, you can still leave whenever you want. But in a journal, it will keep a catalog. Like, it keeps an encyclopedia of each ghost and what their strengths and weaknesses are and what kind of clues that they normally give off. And when you're checking off the 3, it's always 3 clues, maybe 2. But when you're locking in these clues, it will automatically what's the word? It'll automatically like minimize, like, which ones are left that it could be.
Oh, okay.
So, like, if I saw fingerprints on a door and I saw ghost orbs on a camera, and it's maybe like a spirit or a demon or something, but in order to determine that, I either have to use the spirit box or I have to maybe find a room that has freezing temperatures where I can see my breath or something, and it's like -degrees in there. And maybe at this point, you're at like 20% sanity. So there's a chance where you trying to do this could get you locked in there, and maybe you might not make it out. But you have to take the time to do one or two of those things, or none of those things, and you can just randomly click whatever type you think it is, and hopefully you get the money for it and getting it right. But I think the win condition is just living.
And then you said about leaving early. Like, I know you said if you die, you lose all your equipment. or whatever, if you left early but guessed wrong, do you keep that equipment? Is that like the benefit of leaving early?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you get to keep everything.
So like hunt essentially.
Not
keep comparing things to hunt today, but
and everybody has to be in a truck obviously when you leave because the back closes back up and then you drive off.
Question: is this the Scooby-Doo of video games that we've been waiting for?
I mean, kind of. I guess there aren't really like traps, to like capture them because you're not the real hunting team. But yeah, like you can go to 3 different suburban houses, 2 different cabins, a high school, and an insane asylum. And the houses are usually the small levels. The cabins are like medium sized. The high school is pretty big, but the asylum is gigantic by the time, like, if you thought the high school was big, when you get to the asylum's like 75% bigger than the high school. And that one is really cool because if you're talking like local chat with people, you can hear the reverb as if you're actually in like an abandoned building.
That's cool.
And
That's a nice effect.
And like just doing little things, just like if you're not sure if you're in a room that's by the ghost or whatever, sometimes just random sounds will come into like your headphones, like a breathing or like a like kind of noise. It just randomly happens, and like I still get goosebumps when I play it. I'm like, all right, this is good.
So I think that kind of leads me to my last question here. How spooky is spooky? Is it a Matt playable spooky, or Matt's not going to play this probably?
What would make you not want to play it?
I don't know. Like, I can't get through the police department portion of Resident Evil 2 remake, Resident Evil 2 remake, because, there's lickers everywhere, and there's a giant man with a hat chasing me as well. More so the lickers, and it being very dark and jump scares galore.
So the only jump scares are just like audio really, obviously, but like I mean, sometimes you might see a ghost pop up, and yes, that can be chilling depending on how they are. Some are, believe it or not, a little more peaceful than others. Some are relentless and will just want to kill you immediately. But it's only that one ghost in each of these buildings. It's never more than that. There's no other types of like weird supernatural creatures. It's just all different types of ghosts or spirits. But you can still hear footsteps. You can still hear, stuff. You can still hear doors opening and shutting, stuff being thrown around in rooms, it talking to you. So playing alone will definitely, like, it's harder because you have to keep doing a lot of back and forth between the house and the truck and getting items because you can only carry 3 items at a time. And one of them is probably your flashlight. So technically you have 2 to, like, switch on and off. And so that can be just a little tedious of just doing back and forth. It's possible, but I don't recommend it. But it definitely, you do feel a little more vulnerable playing by yourself for some reason because you just don't have somebody checking on you, or you don't have that that reassurance of anything. But even playing with friends, I still get this goosebumps. My hair still raises on my arms. I think you could enjoy it. I think if the 3 of us were playing it, I think it would be a good time.
From what I've seen of it and what you've talked about a little bit with me, I think the benefit you'd have, Matt, is that you're playing with other people. And it's not just jumping in by yourself. You could, but like it seems like, especially early on when Mark first told me about it and asked me if I had heard of it, it was like, yeah, you can play it by yourself, but this is really like, particularly the resource management stuff, you need other people, and I think that helps you to like I think there's a different vibe. Like anytime I ever did any like spooky visits in high school where we'd go like, yo, this place is abandoned, let's go in. Doing that stuff alone is way different than if we would, all drive there together or get out of a car, like, that kind of stuff. I
mean, PT is like terrifying, but like I think one of the main reasons why I hate playing that game is because that jump scare is like around the corner at any given second, which I like. That's the thing that sucks. But like, if the jump scares are kind of, it sounds like I'm experiencing the same thing you are as far as jump scares in Verdansk right now. So, this should be no problem for me.
The jump scares are never like something jumping at you. Like the only
it's like
thing,
a random scream in like the other room or something like that.
It just might be some noise or like a door opening or closing or just hearing a footstep. But like when you see the ghost, that's just going to come out of nowhere. And of course, that's going to scare you. But it's never point blank unless you happen to walk into a spot where it just happened to spawn, and it's just RNG at that point. But it's never intentional to be super up close. And the hands coming in front of you to kill you, that doesn't happen super fast. You see them like slowly coming in front of your face, and then...
I've seen the death animation before, yeah.
Yeah.
Dope.
I want to see if my PC's in a good spot now. I've had some weird stuff, but if it is, I'd like to hop into that.
And how much this boy?
It's like $13, I think.
Dope.
And the doesn't really take you don't need a high-end PC to play it either.
Yeah. Dope. Mine's more the connectivity part that I've been having fun with. But yeah. All right, our final segment for the week. A quick question. I jumped back into Ocarina of Time 3D because I realized that I bought that and never got past Kakariko Village when I bought it, because it was kind of one of those things where you start to go back and you're like, oh, I remember everything about this game. I don't need to finish this. But I kind of want to now. So I'm playing through that and thinking about Zelda, talking about Zelda. Hyrule Warriors is on the horizon. And somewhere along the way, I started looking at Four Swords Adventures, which I know is a favorite of Mark. For listeners who might not be familiar with Four Swords Adventures, it's an adventure for up to 4 players. It first released on GameCube, well, Game Boy Color, but then there was a GameCube version of it. There was like something on Game Boy Color, I think.
Was there?
Or Game Boy Advance? I don't remember. There was a version that did not involve the GameCube.
Game Boy Advance.
And then the Game Boy or the GameCube version let you connect your GBA to the GameCube as a controller. Everybody plays on the screen, but then if you wander away from the party, you kind of have your own little visual on the screen there. Ultimately, I hope that next year for Zelda's 35, we see this on Switch. That would, I think, be a really neat output. Especially we see stuff what Nintendo's tried with Tetris and Super Mario Brothers in that multiplayer capacity. My question for you to close out the show here this week is, what other game, primarily single player, could benefit from a multiplayer system like this?
I don't know. I've been thinking about this question for like 18 hours now, and I have not come up with a good answer. I mean, just kind of with what we've talked about earlier, like all the way back to the beginning of the show with like Final Fantasy, with that changing to what it is, where it's not like turn-based anymore. It's all like, action kind of like.
Time. Yeah.
Yeah. And with party stuff, I wonder if like that you could pull something off there creatively. I keep thinking about like how like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, they all have that weird multiplayer system, like with the ringing of the bell to summon someone in, and you can like stay for a period of time or whatever. And it's like I would like to see like a full-fledged expansion, but that's just like regular multiplayer thing at that point. It's not anything creative like that. So I don't know. I don't have
a like Final Fantasy 1 remake that kind of like retains that top-down approach, but then lets you each take control of a character?
Yes.
You could. It'd be a lot of different balancing, because you're probably going to be on your own with either you're in a party by yourself taking on enemies, or you have to build your own party or whatever.
And like technically Dragon Quest did that.
Which version?
Dragon Quest 9 for the DS. Wait, not 9. 9?
9 was on DS, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, because
so like
was
that
the
one.
MMO.
Okay, yeah. So you would make a character, and you could split up and do your own separate grinding if you wanted. But if one of you was in a dungeon, you could actually summon your friend if you needed help, and you could just kick ass together or something, or like trade items off or something like that. So I think that would also be kind of neat too. Like I'm picturing I know like 15 kind of had some multiplayer stuff, but I'm not too familiar with it, so I don't know how co-op that is. But I could see that Final Fantasy kind of benefiting from something like, oh, you can go here and do this side quest if you want while I'm doing this, because this might take a bit or something. And
yeah, like an MMO that's not an MMO would be really nice. Like a multiplayer RPG. I think that's
I think something.
Yeah, I don't know.
I want like an action game, like like Bayonetta or Devil May Cry or something like that could be really cool if it was a little bit more open world. Like, I was thinking about Nier Automata, like, you know, what if like you were 9S, I was A2, and Mark was like 2B or whatever, and like you can go through and clear out some enemies, but then like but then at that point it's just a live event game. It's nothing unique, you know. Like I don't know how like to make it so unique that what you did with the Game Boy Advance. And also the other thing right now is you don't have portables really out there. Like, yeah, you got the 3DS and stuff, but like you don't have that hookup. And I wonder if you plug in the Vita to the new PlayStation 5, it was going to say the same error message of this device is not recognized. So,
oh yeah, right. The Vita didn't even work with the PS4, did it?
No,
ever.
No, it said device not recognized when you plugged it in.
Wow,
what a tragedy, man. What?
It's
funny because I almost put the. Yeah.
That was Jack.
I
almost
almost
put together. Call.
I know. I was thinking about the Vita this week, and I was thinking about some way to do a question of the week regarding Vita, and couldn't land on one. But now I think I have one for next week. Mark, did you have another specific answer in mind or idea?
For some reason, Last of Us came to mind.
Huh.
The first one's all about, you know, Joel and Ellie. I could see something. It doesn't have to be those characters exactly, but I could see like some kind of like co-op game happening, so you don't have to worry about, you know, bad AI or something like that. You could like strategize how you wanted to like go about something, or like one could be maybe a distraction or.
Fuck no, I can't say it on air because it's very spoiler heavy. But I have a great idea for a Last of Us multiplayer, but I can't bring it up on air.
Like the one I was thinking of was that the DLC for the first one, where you're Ellie, where you're in a mall and like, I forget the other girl's name.
I can't remember.
But like, she's obviously not on the same level as Ellie when it comes to like fighting. So it would be interesting to see how you would use that to your advantage. You know, like maybe they could help like.
Yeah. They could run off, throw a brick somewhere to distract.
Right, or like drop a ladder, like stuff like that, to where like you need that other person to help like make an escape route or something like that.
My answer is a little bit more conventional, I suppose, but Sonic the Hedgehog. I felt like if you did in a similar way of like a Super Mario 35, like not sending junk over, but like if we all had to go on like because I thought about the branching paths in a Sonic level, right? Like Super Mario 35, like it's kind of the same thing just over and over again, but Sonic, you have different like height that you can go through the level with, right? So one of us could explore one area and find different things, and I think you have to do some retooling to like add secrets to actually find and discover, but that could be a neat, interesting multiplayer.
It's just the Sonic 2 special stages, and you're just sending spikes to the other. That's it.
Or no, like you just send water and you just have Sonic drown. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and you do all the work, and then Tails gets hit by bombs and loses your rings for you. That's the.
No,
that's the key.
I thought you were going to go a different direction with that. I thought you were going to actually make Tails useful. Like Tails could fly off on his own.
Honestly, yeah,
his
own miles per hour. Thank you.
Yeah, so like I don't know, like use the actual screen separation thing and let Tails do his thing, or have a Knuckles in the level or whatever, and you guys
that's a good point.
A lot of rings, and you guys can hit all the like try to do like 100% completion in a level with the 3 different characters you can have, or if you want to add more, I don't know. The Nebraska evidently or Montana, one of the fucking states, has a lot of characters you can pull from. So.
Yeah.
I always forgot what you were talking about. I'm like, oh yeah.
Right, yeah, the official lore. Yeah, I think like thinking of it as the way that Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance did, that online Castlevania, like do that in a Sonic game.
Well, if I remember correctly, I think there might have been a Sonic Advance game because that had a co-op thing. Because you had a partner system and you could pick whatever, you could have any pairing you wanted, and their special abilities would help each other traverse throughout the level.
Nice. And
I think either the second or third one used a cable link setup. I could be wrong on that though.
I dig that. I dig that. That's it. That's the show. We made it to the end. Thank you, Mark and Matt. Welcome back, Mark.
Thanks. Good to be back.
Welcome back, Matt.
Yeah.
I forgot how to close out a show. Sorry. I'm losing track of everything. You can find this one and all the rest of them on thefreecheese.com or wherever you're listening to this. Of course, the next one will be there as well. You should tell a friend about it, and you should tell a friend to email us, podcast@thefreecheese.com, and ask us a question, ask us anything. I thank sincerely. I feel like this becomes kind of a boilerplate. Like, let me just say this at the end as we're wrapping up. But genuinely, if you're listening to this, thanks. I appreciate it. And thank you, Matt and Mark, for getting together and doing this. You can follow us on Twitter. The Free Cheese is at @SomeFreeCheese. Matt is at MattyIce131. Mark is at Og_mental. That's it. What are y'all playing this week? Final little send-off.
I'm going to try to wrap up the main part of Crash Bandicoot. It's about time. I'm going to continue the hauntings in Verdansk. I don't know. If you all pick up Phasma... Well, I know Mark has it, but if Mark has some room in a party, or Joe, you pick it up, I will play some Phasmaphobia. I will pick that up for that cheap price of $13. What's today's date? Pikmin is this week, right?
Yeah, Friday.
I don't know if I'll jump in that night, but I'm definitely picking up Pikmin.
Nice. Yeah, I thought about it. I think I'm going to skip it for now, because I was like, you know what? I love it, man. I love it on Switch, but I have it on Wii U. Yeah, I've played it. But I did. I love that game. Yeah. Mark, what are you jumping into this week?
I'll probably do more Phasmo. Outside of that, I have been installing or downloading or buying some like small little horror games here and there, so nice. I may or may not jump into those next. What was the one?
Write it up, Joe.
The horror at Salazar House. That's kind of like a dungeon crawler, point and clicky kind of thing.
Yeah, you sent me that one. That one looks really good.
And what was the other one? I forget. It was some puppet combo game that just came out. I think it's like Murder House or something like that.
Yeah.
Killer Easter Bunny.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna see what I can do with 13 Sentinels this week. I think if I stick to it, I don't have much longer to go. But
I do want to play that.
It's a good one.
And you talking about it earlier? Sorry, just made me think of Nonary games. Just in terms of like
yeah. I think that
story.
branching path, mystery solving kind of thing. I think I'm gonna platinum 13 Sentinels. I think it's pretty obtainable. So we'll see. That's it. So with that...
one last question. I forgot to put this in our show notes. There was an unofficial team of people that are doing the plates for a PS5. I believe black might be one of the options. Are you in?
Nope.
All right. So you want official Sony ones?
Yep.
All right.
I want a black DualSense. I want a black PS5. I'll buy the clear one, too. Just putting that out there.
Right, would you buy the IKEA one that that man in the video made?
No. But if it was an IKEA one that was also atomic purple, yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. That's it for us. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, listener, for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.